The first sign that something was terribly wrong came when the lights of Tehran began to flicker and die. Not the usual rolling blackouts caused by sanctions or aging infrastructure, but a sudden, cascading darkness that swallowed entire districts of the capital. Streetlights vanished block by block. Hospitals switched desperately to emergency generators. Traffic signals went black. In underground command bunkers beneath the city, IRC officers watched their screens go dark as power to critical military communication nodes and air defense systems failed. For the first time in decades, the heart of Iran's power grid had been struck directly and decisively. The blow came not from visible missiles or airstrikes lighting up the sky, but from a small, silent U.S. Special Forces Recon team that had infiltrated deep into the country, destroyed the main electricity substation near Tehran, and slipped away before the regime could react. The operation had been months in the making. American intelligence had identified the main substation as a critical single point of failure. A sprawling complex that fed power to Tehran's government districts, military command centers, key industrial zones, and major ERGC facilities. Striking it would create widespread disruption across the capital without causing mass civilian casualties. A small, highly specialized Special Forces Recon detachment, supported by the intelligence support activity, was selected for the mission. Their task was extraordinarily dangerous. Infiltrate the heavily guarded facility on the outskirts of Tehran, destroy its core transformers and control systems, and exfiltrate through hostile territory before Iranian forces could organize a response. Preparation was intense, meticulous, and conducted in total secrecy. At a remote forward base, operators spent weeks studying every available detail of the substation, intake lines, transformer yards, control buildings, security camera placements, guard rotations, power backup systems, and possible escape tunnels. They built full-scale mock-ups in an isolated training area and rehearsed the raid until every movement became automatic. Operators packed light but lethal kits, suppressed Mk-18 carbines, panoramic night vision goggles, shaped breaching charges, thermite grenades, compact cutting tools, and high-capacity data drives. Green Beret pathfinders inserted earlier to establish observation posts and mark safe routes. In the hangars, MH-60 Blackhawks from the 160th SOAR were prepared for ultra-quiet, long-range insertion. Crews checked every rotor blade, every infrared suppressor, and every fuel line with obsessive care. Loadmasters secured small pallets of explosives and medical supplies, then double-checked every chain and strap. Red safety pins remained inserted in all charges until the final arming phase. The operators moved with the quiet confidence of men who understood the risks, checking weapons, testing night vision devices, and reviewing exfiltration routes one last time. When the final go order arrived, they boarded the helicopters in silence and lifted off into the night for the high-risk flight deep into Iranian territory. The infiltration was one of the most dangerous parts of the mission. The Night Stalkers flew low for hundreds of miles, hugging the contours of the land to avoid radar detection. The Blackhawks finally slowed to a whisper above a narrow plateau in the hills outside Tehran. Ropes dropped into the darkness. The team slid down and vanished into the rocky landscape. They covered the final distance on foot, moving through narrow gullies, dry riverbeds, and thorny scrub under the cover of darkness. The air was cool and still, carrying the faint scent of dust and distant pine. Every step was deliberate. Every sound was suppressed. They reached the outer perimeter of the substation just before 0200, hearts steady, weapons ready. The strike was swift, surgical, and overwhelming. The team breached the fence line using silent cutting tools and moved inside like shadows. 2 operators neutralized exterior guards with precise suppressed shots. The rest split into assault elements. 1 team secured the control building, clearing rooms with flashbang grenades and suppressed fire. Another moved toward the massive transformer yard. Iranian security reacted too late. Short, violent exchanges echoed across the compound, but the Americans maintained control. In the main control room, operators disabled security systems and downloaded critical data before placing charges on the master consoles. In the vast transformer yard, the demolition specialists went to work under the faint glow of emergency lights. They placed shaped charges and thermite devices on the giant transformers and high-voltage switchgear. They wired each charge with calm precision, double-checking every connection in the dim red light. When the final timer was set, the team began its withdrawal. As they pulled back toward the extraction point, the first charges detonated. Massive arcs of electricity lit up the night as transformers exploded in cascades of fire and molten metal. Secondary explosions rippled through the substation. The entire facility went dark in seconds. A blackout spread across northern Tehran like a wave, plunging the capital into sudden darkness. The team exfiltrated cleanly. Blackhawks returned to a pre-arranged landing zone under the cover of orbiting gunships. The operators fast roped up with their captured intelligence materials and climbed into the helicopters. The aircraft lifted off and disappeared into the night, heading toward safety. The entire time on target was less than 40 minutes. In the hours and days that followed, the impact became clear. Large parts of Tehran and surrounding military areas lost power. Critical systems switched to backup generators, but the damage to the main substation would take months to repair. Iran's ability to reliably supply electricity to its capital and key defense installations had been severely degraded. Tehran was left shocked. The regime that had long boasted of its resilience now faced visible weakness at the center of its power. The raid did not end the larger conflict, it only sharpened it. Iranian forces launched immediate search operations across the region and began hardening other critical infrastructure. U.S. Special Operations units remained on high alert, monitoring every reaction. The hills outside Tehran eventually grew quiet again, but the memory of that sudden darkness lingered. Both sides understood that the strike had changed the rules of engagement. The shadow war had moved closer to the heart of Iran, and the next move could come at any time. This operation by U.S. Special Forces Recon demonstrated the quiet, precise reach of American Special Operations deep inside hostile territory. They had struck at the center of Iran's power grid, disrupted its capital, and withdrawn without detection. The main electricity substation near Tehran was gone. But its destruction marked only the latest chapter in a dangerous contest that continued under the vast and watchful sky.